Hello astrology lovers, in this video I will talk on birth time rectification of US Commander-in-Chief Donald J. Trump with progression and transit. President Trump's birth certificate, President Trump's birth details as follows. Birth date and day 14th June 1946 Friday. Birth time 10:54 a.m. rectified to 10 hours 51 minutes 48 seconds. Place of birth Jamaica Hospital, New York City, USA. Time zone and name 5 west of GMT. Latitude 40 degrees 42-01- north. Longitude 73 degrees 48-59- west. Geocentric latitude 40 degrees 30-35.39- north. Nakshatra Jyeshta fourth quarter. Tithi Shukla Paksha Purnima. Anmash Khullar hourly 23 degrees 5-53.61-. On the screen we have planetary position table, cusp position table, Rashi chart and Bhav chart. I rectified time to 10:51:48 and we will have to study if this is correct or not. So we begin with the first step of birth time rectification, that's Lagna Sub Lord must link with moon or vice versa directly or indirectly. Here Lagna Sub Lord is Rahu, moon is in the star of Mercury and Mercury is in the star of Rahu. So moon makes link with Rahu through Mercury. So the link gets established. So we are done with the first step of birth time rectification. Now moving to the second step of birth time rectification, that's co-rulers of Lagna, Sun, Moon's Rashi, Star, Sub and Sub Lord, Star and Sub Lord must appear in 1, 7 and 10. Why 1, 7 and 10? Because ninth is connected to cusp of ninth is the cusp connected to father, and when a person becomes a father, stimulation to cusp 2, 5 and 11 happens. 2 because 2 is connected to expansion of family, 5th is connected to first child, and 11th is connected to fulfillment of desire and fulfillment of gains. So 2, 5 and 11 from ninth is 1, 7 and 10. So we'll study if sun, moon and cusp 1's 4 planets stimulate these cusps or not. We begin with sun. The first planet is Venus because sun is in the Rashi of Venus. Venus star is Jupiter and sub is Rahu. Jupiter appears in 10, Rahu appears in 1 and 7. Then Mars, Sun is in the star of Mars. Mars has positional status. Star is Ketu, sub is Moon. Mars appears in 7, Moon also appears in 7. And Moon appears in 10, so 7 and 10 link gets established. Then Saturn, Saturn is Jupiter and Mars. Jupiter in 10th and Mars in 7th. Then Jupiter, Jupiter is Mars and Rahu. Mars in 7th, Rahu in 1 and 7. Then Mars, we have studied here, Moon's Rashi Lord is Mars and Sun's Star Lord is Mars. So Mars, as we have studied, we won't study. Then Mercury, Mercury's star is Rahu, sub is Venus. Rahu in 1 and 7, Venus in 10 and 1. Then Saturn, we have studied because Saturn is also the sublord of Sun. Then Ketu, Ketu star is Mercury and sub is Jupiter. Ketu involves Mercury because Mercury is positioned in 10th in Bhav chart, and Jupiter appears in 10th also. Because both these planets appear in 10, we will also study sub-lord Rahu. Rahu appears in 1 and 7. So 1, 7 and 10 link gets established. Then the 4 planets of cusp 1, that's Sun. The first planet Sun, it has positional status. Star is Mars, sub is Saturn. Sun appears in 1 because it has positional status. Its position matters, 1 and 10, and Saturn appears in 7. So 1, 7 and 10. Then Venus. Venus we have studied because Sun is in the Rashi of Venus. Then sublord and subsublord both Rahu. Rahu star is Mars and sub is Jupiter. Mars appears in 7th, Jupiter appears in 10th. I've simplified this by writing. So from this we can see that all the cusp 1, 7 and 10 getting stimulated by the required planets. Moving to the third step, that's the moment at which an event happens is controlled by the prana lord. So at the moment of birth, the prana lord should be significator of 10, 1, 7 houses. At least 2 of these houses or prana lord itself should appear in these cusps irrespective of the fact it has the positional status or not. So when Mr. Trump took birth on 14th June 1946, prana lord was Venus. Venus is in the star of Jupiter, sub is Rahu and sub is Venus. So Jupiter appears in 10, Rahu appears in 1 and 7 and Venus appears in 1 and 10. So all the three cusps 1, 7 and 10 getting stimulated. Moving to the fourth step, that's arc, as Lagna is Leo and Leo is a male sign and Mr. Trump is also a male. So arc should be less than 50. So arc here was set to 38.71, that's less than 50. Then step 5, arc of first descendant. Mr. Trump's first son, Donald J. Trump Jr. Fifth cusp is connected to first son. In the fifth cusp, the rising sign is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a male sign, and as Mr. Donald J. Trump Jr. is also a male, so arc should be less than 50. So arc here is 47.82, that's less than 50. Moving to the sixth step, family links must get established. Fourth cusp is connected to mother, and Mr. Trump's mother's moon star is Mars. Here, fourth subsublord is Saturn. Saturn must make link with Mars. Saturn is in the star of Jupiter, and Jupiter is in the star of Mars. So Saturn makes link with Mars. Then first son, that's Mr. Donald J. Trump Jr. Fifth cusp is connected to first descendant. Here subsublord is Ketu. Ketu must make link with Mr. Donald J. Trump Jr.'s moon star, that's Sun. Ketu is in the star of Mercury, and Sun is in the star of Mars, and Ketu represents Mars. So here link gets established. Then second descendant, that's Ivanka. Her moon star is Mercury, and seventh SSL is Mars. Mars must make link with Mercury. Mars is in the star of Ketu, and Ketu is in the star of Mercury. So it makes link with Mars makes link with Mercury. Eric's moon star is Mars, and ninth cusp is connected to third descendant. Ketu must make link with Mars. Ketu represents Mars, so it makes link. Then fourth descendant, that's Tiffany. Her moon star is Sun, and Rahu is in ninth or 11th subsublord. That's fourth descendant is 11th. So Rahu must make link with the Sun. Rahu and Sun both in the same star of Mars. So Rahu makes link with Sun. Then fifth descendant, that's Baron. His moon star is Saturn. And fifth descendant is first cusp. Here subsublord is Rahu. Rahu must make link with Saturn. Rahu is in the star of Mars. Saturn is in the star of Jupiter, and Venus is also in the star of Jupiter, and Rahu represents Venus. So Saturn makes link with Rahu because Rahu represents Venus, and Saturn and Venus both in the same star of Jupiter. So family links also gets established. We are done with 6 steps of rectification, then moving to 7th step. That's event verification. Mr. Trump became a parent on 31st December 1977. Dasha was Sun, Jupiter, Rahu, Rahu Moon. On 31st December 1977, Sun, Jupiter, Rahu, Rahu Moon, we have to study Bhukti, Antar, Sukshma and Prana. And we have to focus on cusp 2, 5 and 11. Cusp 2 is connected to expansion of family. 5th is connected to first child, and 11th is connected to fulfillment of desire or fulfillment of ambition. So we begin with Jupiter, that's the Bhukti Lord. Jupiter's star is Mars, sub is Rahu, sub is Rahu. And these planets must stimulate 2, 5 and 11. Rahu appears in 2, 5 and Mars and Rahu both appear in 11. So 2, 5 and 11 all getting stimulated. Then Rahu, that's Antar and Sukshma. Mars, Jupiter, Rahu. Mars appears in 11th, Jupiter appears in 5th, and Rahu appears in 2, 5 and 11. Then Moon, that's Prana Lord. Moon's star is Mercury, sub is Saturn, and sub is Ketu. Mercury appears in 2, Saturn also appears in 2, Mercury appears in 11, so 2, 11, and Ketu appears in 5. So 2, 5 and 11 all getting stimulated. For an event to happen, transit must also support. So we also have to study the transit for 31st December 1977. We have to study Bhukti Lord's position, Antar Lord's position, Sukshma and Prana Lord's position. So Bhukti was Jupiter, we will study Jupiter. Antar and Sukshma was Rahu, we will study Rahu. And we also have to study Sun and Moon because all the events that happen due to the interplay of Sun and Moon. And Moon was also Prana. So while studying Moon, we will also study Prana. We begin with Bhukti, that's Jupiter. Jupiter was in the Rashi of Mercury. Mercury star is Rahu and sub is Venus. Rahu appears in 2 and 2, 5, 11, and Venus appears in 5th. Then Mars. Mars is Ketu Moon. Mars has positional status also. So its position matters. Mars appears in 11 and Moon appears in 2 and Ketu appears in 5th. Then Moon. Moon's star is Mercury, sub is Saturn. Mercury appears in 2, Saturn in 2, Mercury in 11. Then Mercury we have already studied, so we won't study. Then Antar and Sukshma Lord Rahu, its position we have to study in transit. It was in Mercury Rashi, and Mercury we have already studied here. It was in Moon star. Moon we have studied here. Saturn sub. Saturn is Jupiter Mars. Jupiter in 5th, Mars in 11th. Then Sun. Sun is Mars and Saturn. Saturn in 2nd and Mars in 11th. Now we have to study Sun and Moon. Sun is in the Rashi of Jupiter, and Jupiter is Mars and Rahu. So Mars appears in 11th and Rahu appears in 2, 5, 11. Then Venus is Jupiter Rahu, Jupiter in 5th, Rahu in 2, 5 and 11. Then Moon, we have already studied Moon here. Jupiter we have already studied. Then Moon, the Rashi Lord is Sun, Sun we have studied here. Star is also Sun, we have studied here. Sublord Moon we have studied here, and Sub-Sublord Saturn we have studied here. So these planets transited the right Rashi, star, sub and sub-sub to support this event. At times Dasha supports, transit also supports, but still the event does not happen, because the event will not happen unless it's seen in the progression chart. So we'll also study the progression chart for 31st December 1977. Just like a person grows, his or her chart also grows. So progression chart is the growth of the chart. We'll study the Dasha planets. We will begin with Jupiter. Jupiter is Jupiter, Ketu, Venus. Jupiter here, Jupiter, Ketu, Venus all in 2, and Ketu in 11th, and Jupiter also in 11. So 2, 5, 2, 11. Then Rahu. Rahu is Jupiter, Venus, Rahu. Jupiter and Venus in 2, Rahu in 5th, and Jupiter in 11th. And then Moon. Moon, star is Sun, sub is Jupiter and Rahu, sub-sublord. Sun appears in 11th, Jupiter appears in 2 and 11, and Rahu appears in 5th. So we are done with 7 steps of rectification. I will stop here. I will take some other events in the upcoming video. So please subscribe to this channel to watch the upcoming videos. I appreciate you took time to watch this video, and if you found this video useful, or if you would want to rectify your horoscope, then please feel free to connect with me with the information mentioned in the description box. These are the books that I studied and the websites I referred to prepare this video. I wish you have a wonderful day and stay safe.